Hi, and welcome to Wow Talk. My name is Donna.
And my name is Darlene.
And Darlene, Dr. Gustin, I would like to congratulate you on at least 30 years. Was the 30-year mark this year or last year of practicing?
Ooh, last year, 30 years since I graduated, 30 years since I got my license, 30 years since I opened the clinic. So 30 everything.
And we should specify that it is a naturopathy clinic. How would you call your clinic?
Bronte Natural Health Clinic, and the name came out of necessity because back in those days the word naturopath was so foreign to people, and I felt the need to describe what I was doing because I was like an alien in my city.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, your title, your choice of title, as your choices always are, was brilliant. I think it's a great name.
Thank you.
Sums it right up.
Thank you. Sometimes I wish it was a shorter name, but back in the day, that's how it started, and I had slowly met a collection of people who were the oddballs like me, and there was a team of 12 of us back in the day, so it was myself and a massage therapist and colon therapy, iridology, nutrition, hydrotherapy. There was a total of 12 of us, and we were all doing alternative natural medicine of some type, and we were so grateful to have each other because it was the humble beginnings of alternative medicine, not just naturopathy, for my town, my province, my country. And so we were the novelty, we were the first, and we had a blast, and we're still around.
Which is fantastic. And I'm nodding my head as you were saying all these things. And I was about to say, it's funny because we called it alternative medicine then, for sure. And that was around the time that I first became interested in it. And I was so thrilled when I didn't know you yet. I wasn't living in Oakville. And I found a medical doctor who practiced both. And it was great because we would go through the whole thing and she would give me options because some people, if it was an economic thing, you could maybe use your benefits to cover the drugs that could help with the particular thing, or she would give you the other option that was natural. And then, of course, that's not covered. And I don't know, I'm hoping that it will be eventually, but it certainly wasn't at that time. But what I want to say is that I loved everything, and I would talk to people, and I've been wanting to spread the word for years. In fact, I tried to do a show similar to this, not podcast, because you had podcasts 30 years ago, and it was just so difficult. It's like you're trying to tell the world about something that's so new, and they don't quite get it, and we're only used to traditional medicine. So I don't have the training. I just can be the messenger, which is what I am. So, having said that, tell us more.
Well, it's come a long way. And back in those days, it was just very focused on helping one person at a time. I was so convinced and so driven by the way I was raised as a child that in my home, we had organic food because we grew it ourselves. We would get a diagnosis from a medical doctor, and then we'd come home and drink our own tea that we grew ourselves. So for me, when I found the advertisement that the naturopathic school was coming to Toronto, it was this huge dream come true because I didn't know that this existed as a profession. So no more dental school applications for me. It was slam dunk, I'm going to be a naturopath. So I didn't really think much about anything other than I'm just going to help the next person that I meet. And I did get a lot of resistance from the medical doctor specialist community because they didn't realize how much schooling we had, and they didn't realize how effective our methods were, and they didn't really know what to think of us. So we didn't really belong in the circle of health practitioners the way we do now. And that didn't bother me. It's like, I don't care. I will show you that I will help this person, especially the person you were not able to help. And I think anybody in healthcare of any kind, that should really be the only thing you're working on. is helping another human.
I agree with you for sure. And what I love about your profession is that we don't wait necessarily for something to be bothering us to come and see you. You are proactive in the care that you give and in all of your tips, which we are going to get into shortly. And I just love that, because if we could learn how to prevent the illness, that would be most of the battle, if you ask me. Whereas most of us are so used to seeing a doctor once we have that problem, and then we need to treat that problem. Whereas I believe you're the whole package. You're before, you're during, you're after. Yeah.
And thank you so much for bringing up the concept of prevention, because that's one of the principles of naturopathic medicine. There are 6 principles of naturopathic medicine that define us. It's not just the use of natural methods. One of those principles is prevention. And I'm really, really thrilled to share that at this point, 30 years later, that 20% of my practice is prevention. And I love that. I love looking.
So do I.
Yeah. I love looking for the things that you don't know about, the things that you don't feel. So maybe testing your hair or looking at your blood under my microscope. And there's just a huge world of health that happens that you don't have a symptom. You don't have a symptom if you have weak bone density. You probably don't feel if your blood pressure is high unless it's extreme. You don't feel high cholesterol. You don't even feel tumors until it took many years to grow big enough to feel it.
Exactly.
So prevention is huge. And the way prevention happened, it wasn't like I went seeking for patients. Hey, come on over. Let me do some prevention. That's just too salesy for me. But what would happen is a patient with a concern would come in, and maybe a mother brought in a child for asthma or eczema, and she would watch what I was doing, and she would say, I want to come in too. Or, wow, if my child has high aluminum, I wonder if my other child does. We drink the same water. Right?
Yes.
And so that's how prevention happened. And then prevention also, I will screen the patient in a traditional physical exam, blood work kind of way. But as a naturopath, there are additional things that we do with Chinese pulses and looking at the iris and looking for what we call a nutritional physical exam. So we go beyond the regular physical exam and look for these other more subtle things. And that's based on the individual who made the appointment. But sometimes also I have to dig deeper and say, what runs in your family? You've come early, you've come healthy, you've come young. I didn't really find much. Tell me about your brothers and sisters and parents, and keep me posted. And I may know that patient 10 years later, and we're still chatting and meeting once in a while, and I go, anything new happening in your family? So the younger you are, the more you might be aware of the risk factors in the family. And so prevention's a lot of fun. And prevention also is no different before having an illness than it is after having an illness. And for the majority of my career, as you know, my special interest as a naturopath has been working with cancer patients.
Yep.
And it's just been so humbling and rewarding beyond words, the miracles that I have the privilege of seeing on a regular basis. And then passing the 30-year mark, you start reflecting, what have I done? What mark have I left on the world? How do I want to spend the rest of my career? What am I going to leave behind? What is my legacy? And I thought, it is what it is. It's right in front of me. It's like, you've had so much success with all these cancer patients. You have to share that with the world.
Yes, you do.
And how do I keep those patients cancer free? Because naturally what happened was, all those patients who survived and thrived during and after their cancer, we became loyal to each other, and those people keep coming, even if it's she just raised her hand.
I can attest to that.
You're one of them.
That's true.
So this special bond happens with all those people. and they're my friends. I want to keep them alive as long as me. And that's what I want to share with the world. That's what the future holds for me, is encapsulating that and simplifying that and sharing that with the patients, with the people who are not necessarily patients, and say, hey, it's not that hard. If all these people like Donna have done it, you can do it too. So that's what the future holds.
That is beautiful. It's remarkable, truly. And I am so thrilled that I am one of your patients and one of your friends and your partner in bringing your knowledge, because it is all your knowledge. I have learned through you, but my friend, my doctor, you are a wealth of information. And so we have a series besides this that we're going to incorporate into our podcast, Wow Talk, Women of Wellness. By the way, I'm not sure if you know that that's what it stands for. But you did come up with a list of 30 tips. And I think when I look at this list, there are some that we have covered. But moving forward, we're going to make a good effort to go through each and every one of them.
And the funny thing was, when we were thinking about this, the top 30 tips from 30 years, it was just kind of a fun thing to do. And I thought, oh, it's going to take me forever. But honestly, when I sat down to write down what are the top 30 things I want to teach people, it was recorded so quickly. And I thought, do I have to stop at 30? So first I thought it would be hard to stretch it to the 30 mark, but it was really easy.
Easy. Well, we'll start with 30.
We'll do the first 30.
Yes.
First 30.
The first 30. When we've already done probably about 5 or 6 of them when I look on this. So it's incredible. So stay tuned. We will start with one of our tips on our next episode.
See you on Tip 1, Top 30 Tips from 30 Years.
Awesome. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.